Damn, I love that intro. That's a good one. It always gets me going.
Get you pumped.
Hey, first off, man, happy Father's Day to you and everybody else.
Happy
listening out
Father's
there
Day to you.
Thank you. So, big day. I know we like to spend it on the podcast, but happy. Just want to give a shout out to all the dads out there, all the fathers out there who are doing the thing, taking care of business. Happy Father's Day from us to you.
All the daddies.
Yeah, everything down the line. So I'll tell you what, John. I probably flew in at midnight last night or this morning. Got to my place right around midnight, 1 a.m, something like that. There we go. Navy cop. Happy Father's Day. There you go. By the way, KMO's AI course is really good. Very dynamic instructor and getting good. Awesome. I have yet to jump on that KMO course since I was out all last week, but I fully intend on doing so. But yeah, flew in at around midnight. Spent the whole week over in Maryland, which was beautiful, like Annapolis, Maryland, right outside the Naval Academy. My son went out there for a summer session. Just spent the whole week out there while he was doing it. I acted as a vacation for the family and I. We stayed at this little waterfront hotel. Awesome spot, man. A lot of history. If anybody is inclined to go and check out the Naval Academy or just walk the grounds, amazing campus. It's like 300 acres. Just the museums, the old buildings, just the history of it was amazing, and the history of the town too. We ended up taking like a ghost tour down around Annapolis. It was pretty cool, pretty amazing. But you have these placards, as you do in most of these colonial era towns, these little plaques on the side of the historic houses. And it's amazing how old these things are, right? At least for United States standards, like the 1700s, 1800s. Got a chance to stand where John Adams stood when he addressed the people. Got a chance to sit where George Washington actually drank some ale and got chased out from a bar by the barkeep because he was hitting on the barkeep's wife. So as the legend goes, right? So he was chased out of the bar. So when it was Colonel Washington at the time. Very cool, man. Very cool. Anybody who hasn't been out there, definitely check out Annapolis, Maryland. You won't regret it. A very nice area.
Yeah. Plus you got DC and everything nearby. I mean, there's so much. I love going to that area of the country every single time I go there. I enjoy it. There's so much to see. You could spend months there and not see it all. Like there's so much to see around that area.
Yeah, there is. And we ended up going to DC, man. It was nice. It was very close, probably about a 30-minute drive. And surprisingly, not a lot of traffic. But we went during the week. And we did see, protesters start setting up shop out there. We did see the banners for the Army 250th anniversary, which happy birthday, by the way, John. Yep, there you go. We did see all the banners out there. Very, very cool. Very cool to see. And also very cool to see people exercising their amendment rights, right, to protest. It wasn't anything violent that I saw or anything. It was peaceful. People just setting up shop. We saw a bunch of people marching for the No King's Day thing the day before we flew out. So nothing out of the ordinary, just people holding up signs and things like that, just with their megaphones and stuff. So it is what it is. I mean, exercising their rights. But it was cool to see all that stuff, go to Washington, go to DC, go to walk around, show the family, the National Mall, the Washington Memorial, the reflection pool and all that. Things that I've never been to the Lincoln Memorial, and this was my first time. It was awesome. Never been there. Like I took a trip out to the White House a while back when I was doing was the warrant officer training over in Virginia, and we went to the reflection pool, Washington Memorial, and the White House tour, but never actually made it out to the Lincoln Memorial. So first time out there, awesome spot. great things, great stuff. Loved it.
Yeah. I love DC. The first time I went to DC was probably when I was 16, 17 years old. We went for a band trip, and I fell in love with that place from that moment on. I had a POWMI, so like kind of like the one I have on now, that I'd get given to me from a really good friend of mine. And I ended up going to the memorial and finding the name and doing the etching and all that stuff.
Oh, really? Yeah. I did see a lot of people doing
this
that.
Was before I was thinking about joining the military and stuff.
Yeah, I saw a lot of folks doing the etching over at the Vietnam Memorial at the reflection wall. So that was cool to see. You know, all the names up there. You know, I had to talk to my kid about it. You know, I was with the little one. The other one wasn't training, but I had to explain to him what this all was. He's like, "Dad, why are people writing on the walls?" I'm like, "No, they're not writing on the walls, man. You know, they're finding the names, they're etching the names." It looked like it was a school project, right? These kids were assigned somebody's name or something, and they were etching the name on there. So very cool to see. Very cool.
Yeah. Easy. Excellent to visit.
Yeah.
Don't know if I'd want to live there.
No, hell no. Not me. Oh, shoot. After all the traffic and stuff on the way back, that was a little crazy. All because I wanted to drive in front of the White House to show my kid. But I'm like, nah, I can do without the traffic. But cool little neighborhoods, though. I'll give it that. Cool.
But you've been to the Iwo Jima Memorial, right?
Yeah. We did a trip there when I was doing the officer training. Yeah, huge memorial, man.
Yeah, it's ginormous. I remember when we went there the first time again when I was in my teens, and we went there, and because we were doing band stuff, they happened to have the Marine Corps, like I guess the folks that get together and do the marching and with the weapons. I forget what it's called, but they were out there performing. It's amazing to see some of the stuff out there. The Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, like awesome things to see, and so many reverent, like heartwarming, humbling moments that you can experience in DC, just at all the different memorials and different places throughout.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We definitely enjoyed our time there. If folks haven't been out there to the National Mall to see the buildings, your buildings, put it on your list. Make it a reason to go out there and go see these things. I mean, they are your buildings as United States citizens or American citizens. With that, we're going to get into business. We're going to get into the talk of business. We're going to get into entrepreneurship and AI. And I hold this dear to heart, man. I really want to talk to our next guest because I'm very inclined towards entrepreneurship. Though I've never actually taken an entrepreneurship class, but I talk to a lot of folks about business, entrepreneurship. I've had businesses fail. I've had businesses flourish. And I just want to pick this next guest's brain about all this stuff. Bring it onto the stage. We got Luke Medvey. Am I pronouncing your last name correctly?
Perfectly.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So, yeah, I mean, Luke, what do you do? Who is Luke Medvey?
So first and foremost, thanks for having me here today. I mean, I love your show. I love how you guys just talk from the heart. I love how you verbalize, your thoughts, and it's not just coming from your heart, but it's from where you're seeing and you're pulling it into the veteran tribe. So I really appreciate it's an honor to be here. So who's Luke? Who is Luke Medvey? I feel like we should bring Ryan Hunt on. He's an entrepreneur who's been coaching this. Coaching me, and he would probably say that sometimes I coach him, but the truth is Luke Medvey is a military veteran who retired from the Army after 23 years, and is just every day trying to be a part of the community in every aspect. So, for instance, I operate a nonprofit, American Heroes Equine Connection Incorporated, help vets and first responders with PTSD. So I have horses, we do gardening, we do beekeeping. Thank you for Hives for Heroes for supporting us on that. And then we also do more than that. We do Tai Chi and other things. I'm going to share some with you. I only shared with a few people, but apparently now a lot more. So I was in my last 6 months of service, and I had a pulmonary embolism, plural, both my lungs. and pneumonia
Wow.
simultaneously. I flew out to go to a MilVet conference in New York City, and simultaneously see my family. But while I was out there, it was like a big leap of faith. It was like I'm jumping into this entrepreneurship journey. I'm trying to figure who's who in the landscape. I'm trying to learn, who's in this new tribe, right? Because you're going through this point, you feel very separated from people, and you don't
Yes.
really know who is like trustworthy, right? You spend 23 years building trust on teams um, through the United States Army and various other entities. Like I have friends in the Navy, Air Force, from serving in a joint capacity. But my point is that my whole physiological body was shutting down because that is how. And I thought I was prepared for my transition, but that is how the transition it impacted and physically hit me hard. So I was 6 months from retiring, and I felt very separated from my tribe, very separated from like everyone. And really, because I wanted to start a business out in Indiana. So I moved myself away from them. I started working with an energy company, a top Fortune 500. Very blessed to have that job. Since then, they laid me off, but that's a whole other story we'll get into later. But but this is a perfect example of showing how the story is not just straight. It has some windy roads in it. So I created the nonprofit American Heroes Equine Connection after I found the horse's healing effect upon me. But then I still felt like, hey, Luke, you have a lot to offer. And I felt like I've been consulting for years, with generals, colonels, leading complex operations across Europe, 17, 18 different nations, helping to support 4 to 40,000 troops. And I felt like I had the mental capacity. Like, why am I not applying these skills? Then I said, you know what? I need to apply these skills, but I also need to make sure my tribe knows they're not alone on this journey. So that's when I created, again, American Heroes Equine Connection, but I also founded the Business Navigators, and I founded AmericanSkyport.com. But on this journey, I met some great people, and I know some of them are on here now. And in meeting some of these great people through IVMF, the Institute of Veteran Military Family, through Syracuse University, I was able to help other folks on this journey as well. The difference is through Business Navigators, I want to actually hire these folks, and I want to place them in these lead consulting positions to help industry, because I know that these folks have the skill set and they have led complex operations globally. Many of them are teaching now as associate professors at various schools in the military, but when they transition, I want them to know that there's people there for them.
Right.
And I just didn't feel like I had that, but now I'm creating that. So who is Luke Medvey? Luke Medvey is a person whose every day is on this entrepreneurship struggle, who is trying to expand his network. Every day is trying to make sure he's a father, he's a husband, he's a coach, he's a mentor to veterans. That's really who Luke Medvey is.
Awesome, man.
Happy Father's Day. I got a quick follow-up for you.
By the way.
Likewise. Happy Father's Day. Thank you both.
Happy Father's Day. And sorry for the delay. I don't know what's going on, but we'll figure it out. I do have a follow-up and a real quick, just to kind of touch on it, because it speaks to me and it kind of stood out when you were talking about your path and your journey to where you are now. That moment that you had of physical illness that you felt, do you feel like that was part of like the release of all the being in service for so long and then finally kind of getting your feet under you to do something else? It sounds like a physiological reaction, almost like a stress-induced event that caused some sort of anxiety. And I've had a couple of those in my life where I've experienced something similar to that. And I'm just curious if you think that was related, connected, how it was related, and then how you actually dealt with it in the moment and then in the following months after that.
No, thank you. I think it's a great question. To answer your question in short, and most people know me, I take the long route. Yes, but I will elaborate and explain. So, they say there's two people: the one who tells the time and one always helps you build a watch. I've always been a watch builder, but in short, yes. So when I left my tribe, I had over 2 decades of building my reputation, 2 decades of building who Luke Medvey is and who he can be on the team. And I think you learn through various stages of leadership and followership, you learn that every job you kind of take on a new role. And I left the military on my own accord. I mean, very short, very short. I had a daughter. I have 4 kids, 2 boys, 2 girls. My youngest daughter's 6 now, but when I was stationed at United States Central Command, CENTCOM, my daughter was born, and it was she was a blessing, still is a blessing, always will be a blessing. But when she was born with hemifacial microsomia and craniosynostosis, the topic. So I had to fly her across the U.S. for surgeries, and I was very blessed because the chain of command is very understanding and let me do it. And I've always been that advocate. So when I was getting ready to leave my joint job, I was stationed in a very amazing capacity in Saudi Arabia as in a U-6 billet. And I got a phone call one day from Branch, and Branch is like, "Hey, you're slated to go to England for 3 years." I'm like, "Yes, I get to finally work for NATO, use that master's in diplomacy again." And they're like, "But they call me next day and like, you got to go by yourself." I go, "Well, hold on here. I have, essentially 5 years in combat from combat operations, and I have another 3 years of being away from the family, also in combat, high conflict, hick environments, high intensity conflict areas of the world. Like,
Right.
so I've been gone from my family for essentially 8 years. Like, you're gonna tell me I have to voluntarily leave them for 3 just so I can get this great joint assignment or additional assignment they put me on another trajectory? And I'm like, I'd rather not do it. Like
Yeah.
I said, at the end of the day, ends ways means. This is to protect. I'm doing this so I can also protect and take care of my family. And they're like, and they're very kind. At this point, I'm friends with all these guys. They're like, I understand. So here's a job in Honduras. Here's a job in Japan. I'm like, no, I can't take any of those. Like, really? So this is the EFMP program, Exceptional Family Member Program. I believe in the military is still going through some issues. I've heard it's come a long way in a
Yeah.
year and a half, but it still has a long way to go. And at the end of the day, I felt that my daughter could go. They felt otherwise, and I said, "That's fine. Let me repay my tour, of 20 plus years." And my wife concurs. We all agree. Let me go teach at the Command General Staff College. So I did. And it ended up being one of the best assignments. By the way, it was a complete honor to be there as well. Like a humbled opportunity where a lot of humble alphas go, and it was a great network, great friends I made there. And they're helping to retune and rekey and all the future, field grade officers of the military, not just Army. You got top notch from all the various services, from SEALs, just various other things, Top Gun pilots, etc., agencies, etc. So when I was on this journey, and I was trying to figure out what it is I want to do, I knew that I wanted to do it with my family. And that's where I dropped my retirement paperwork and I said, I need to vote on me. I said, I have come to the military. I've worked my ass off. Excuse my language. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear here.
No, go ahead. Do your thing.
and I felt like I built that reputation. I built that title. I've learned who's who in the zoo, and we've all kind of worked together. And I said, now it's time to bet on Luke Medvey. Well, and I felt like I was prepared. I mean, when I was leaving, I set myself up for various master's degrees. I've done the PMP Lean Six Sigmas. I recommend to your audience, anyone listening, please do that. Like, set yourself up for success and try to do as much of it as free as you can. IVMF offers a great program. ACP offers a great program. Through IVMF, it's 020 if you want to get into PMP. They also have a VPPCE if you want to get into politics and civic affairs and etc. And there's a lot of other programs out there, but I recommend transitioning veterans do 2 things. One, from the day you start, think of what your journey's going to be, and think of, if one day you didn't have it, what would your next step be? And I feel like I've always done that, but physiologically, it still hit me hard. And I think it was being that part of removed from my tribe. Every day I could see my tribe, right? I'm in uniform, I was, obviously in the office every day, and being removed from that, it was kind of like being severed from almost who was Luke. Part of my identity was severed, right? When I wear my suit or I wear my, polo shirt, no one knows who Luke Medvey is. When I walk in the military and I walk in the room, my resume's on my chest. It's just a different, complete environment. So that transition hit me really hard. And I felt like I was prepared for it. That's the worst part. I worked through Hires of Heroes. I was able to secure a job. I dotted all the I's, I crossed all the T's. I felt like I was prepared, and it still hit me hard. I will say one thing that kept me going is perseverance and continuing to try to find out who is part of my tribe, how can I reach them, and how can I find a way to provide and add value to them. And hopefully, without asking anything, maybe I'll come back to me. So the IVMF program allowed me to meet Ryan. Ryan and I talk every day. If you don't know him, I'm sure you do. You've had him on the show. I'm sure you've had Annette on the show. I think you have. And at the end of the day, they're great people. And, I'm on the phone with them every day. We're part of that whole tribe.
So Luke, I'm curious, man. You named off a couple of things here. The American Heroes Equine Connection, is that correct?
Yes.
Or Equine Connection? All right. And then Business Navigators and Skyport. So I'm very curious about this. I think I saw a website for the Equine Connection. What exactly is that, and what does that provide?
Thank you. So American Heroes Equine Connection.org is the website. It's a 501c3, so it's a nonprofit. And my mission statement is pretty long, but in short, we provide equine therapy. And we also provide things like Tai Chi. We provide things like gardening. I have a garden. I have orchards of trees. I got chickens. But what we really do is, I don't want to say every quarter, but as funding comes in, because right now we're not really funded except through me, but hopefully as funding comes in, we can do more. But the goal is, and we've already done a great, fantastic event. And the event was, I brought in 5 other nonprofits, 5 other businesses. And what we did was we provided a whole day where veterans had the opportunity to kind of have that therapy and be a part of a local tribe. The irony of that is most people traveled 2 to 6 hours to come to the event. We had about 30 people, which was a blessing. But for something that we're offering completely free to veterans and first responders, I was shocked on how few people we had. But that was still a lot. So it was like sucking that, wow. I was also shocked on how people came from outside the state of Indiana. It was just an amazing event. And because it's self-funded, I opened it up to both communities. Because it's self-funded, there's no barriers. Like, you want to bring your kids, bring your kids. You want to do this. So it was an awesome event. We have a great video on the website. And it's all about starting a healing journey. So I built a garden box. So if you're a disabled vet in a chair, or you're hindered by mobility, I built a box that you can go up in your wheelchair and garden on your own. And then I had an Irish gentleman who's a chaplain on a local fire department that I'm an advisor on. And in that fire department, many of them came, but he was also served in the forces. What is it called? The UK or British forces. And he does potato farming for his own PTSD therapy. He came over and helped teach the vets on how to do potato farming. Like, that's what I'm talking about. We're bringing in various other, I want to call them healers, who can just spend time with veterans, help them out. I'm going to share 2 quick stories on it. We have one person. She found out that morning, because we were supposed to start earlier, but the rain happened, so we started a little later. One person, and I didn't find this out until my wife shared the story with me, and obviously I'll keep names anonymous, but she found she had ocular cancer. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing. I think we just lost Luke here.
Yep. Oops.
Okay. No, it's all good. It's all good. So while he's getting back up and running, that he's providing a lot of great services, man. Like, I've heard about the equine therapy, and I know they got some around here, in the outskirts of Southern California. I've never actually been to them, but I think there's a what is it? There's that feeling, that essence of calmness that you get from the horses. So I've not personally done that myself. I've ridden horses and stuff, but I've not personally done that myself. But I feel like that could be very beneficial for folks, especially with PTSD or maybe high anxiety. Yeah, that could be very beneficial.
Yeah, it's like there's tons of different ways to navigate PTSD and navigate anxiety and navigate the stressors that you get, the mental stressors. And I think because of the fact that you're doing that with horses around a group of people, like, you've got support. Everybody's doing it for the same purpose, and you're connecting with animals and people at the same time, and you're diverting your attention to focus directly on what you're into and what you're doing right there on the spot. So
that's right.
I think it's really, really, really helpful.
Yeah, I might have to tap into that. I mean, I think it's in Indiana, so we'll get the details here from Luke, but we might have to take a trip out there myself and check it out. Yeah. So
that's
John,
that's why I was happy to have Luke on the show today.
Yeah, while we're in this kind of interim, we have a little bit of white space here. I wanted to bring this up really quick. It is something that they just dropped. It's the SOTO versus the United States. Let's see if I can pull it up here. Actually, so basically the Supreme Court ruled on an important decision about 2 days ago for veterans. And there used to be a rule that said that veterans only had 6 years to claim a specific type of disability pay called the CRSC, the Combat Related Special Compensation. But in this SOTO case, the court says that time limit no longer applies. Okay, I'm still in the infancy stages of reviewing this. And as I mentioned before, I love reviewing case law and Supreme Court rulings and stuff for some reason. I don't know why, but we'll get back to Luke. I'll do some more digging on this, more to come on this, because this potentially can be huge, especially for folks who are looking to sign up for the CRSC and they hit that time limit. And now there is no time limit. So huge for veterans. But let me do some digging and I will put all the details out on the video or a short or something. Let's get back to Luke here really quick.
Oops.
Sorry about that. It's like you said.
No, all good.
Like you said, it's Father's Day and my dad was calling me. And obviously I put poor guy. But
all good.
So thank you for sharing that about the the veteran update on the CRC. I mean, it's just amazing how many advocates there are out there just trying to help vets behind the scenes, and I really appreciate everything you guys are doing. So where would you like me to pick up?
So let me see here. You were going to go through 2 stories, but leave the names out.
Yes. So we had this big event. We had folks travel 2 to 6 hours to come to this. And this one lady found out that morning she had ocular cancer. Mm-hmm. And our event was pushed back because of the weather. So actually it was a blessing because then she was able to come. And she said when she left that it was the most like emotional, physical, relieving event because she had such a horrible like news, right? She may not be able to see again type of thing. So she was given she didn't share with me, she shared with my wife, but the point is that is like the gift that we're giving to veterans. It's just up to them to come and receive it. The other story I was going to mention is we had the gentleman, he served 23 years as an MP in the military, then continued to serve for another 23 years as a deputy sheriff. Called me Friday last week, told me he was in the hospital, and my prayers and heart goes out to him. But what he said is that he really connected not just with me, but with the nonprofit and the folks that came together. He said it was absolutely the most miraculous, like just awesome event. And he drove 3 hours to come to the event. I believe it was about 3. He wrote a book. He tried to give him the book out, and I'm like, guys, like, here's $10, buddy. Like, hey, thank you for coming here and sharing your gift with veterans amongst our tribe. So those are my 2 stories. And I will say that it's what you put into is what you get out of it. And I think that holds true to podcasting. I think this holds true to the Equine. I will say one more thing though, that Joe, I'm going to mess up his last name, but he's part of the community with Veteran Lifestyle Magazine, brought together a band of like 4 other equine nonprofits that are in the U.S. We were on a discussion call earlier this week. It was just amazing because we all are willing to help each other. We're geographically separated, but as a veteran tribe, if we could come together and help each other, I mean, all we're doing is opening up access for more veterans.
Exactly.
And I think that's just every day something new. So it's just, thank you for letting me share my story.
No, absolutely, man. And this is great that you're doing that. I mean, this is exactly the reason why we do it. We want to get all the information out as much as we can to veterans out there listening, right? And as we go through all these folks, I mean, we have your nonprofits, we've had other nonprofits on the show, and we're making a list, right? And we share these things. We're coming up with a monthly newsletter, and we're going to have a running list of all these nonprofits that we feature on the show. So we truly appreciate what you're doing for the veterans too. I mean, this is huge, especially with the equine stuff, the therapy. That's what it's good for, like PTSD, anxiety, depression. Is that right?
Yeah, so exactly right. So it's great for, post-traumatic stress, obviously. It's also good for, it's just healing. Like a lot of times folks have PTSD from all walks of life. And they don't even, but they have anxiety because they've had PTSD so long. I'm going to share something. And this is why I'm going to kind of go back a second. Why did my body break down? Why was I going through these ailments? I think, and what I believe is that I've had PTSD so long from blowing up over 20 times, been in, like I said, high intensity conflicts of all around the world, seen a lot of things. And what I think I operated very well at that higher level, like very well, extremely well. Like it made me a better, officer, maybe a better soldier. And when I no longer operate in that capacity, I think it just is like everything hit me at once.
Right.
And the horses, they don't know who you are, like they know if you're kind, you're not kind. They know and I have this big horse, he's like 17, 18 hands, so which means he's like really tall. He's a Parisian horse. His name is Zeus. And he'll come right up to you, drop his little jaw, it'll flap, and whatever day you had, everything just melted away. And all I'm doing is offering that opportunity to other veterans. They don't have to go spend thousands of dollars on horses, thousands of dollars on feed, thousands of dollars on insurance, thousands of dollars on the fencing, thousands of dollars on, I did it already. Now just come and receive and be a true veteran and share their journey and share your healing with other vets. That's all I ask.
That's awesome. And it's located in Indiana?
Yes. So great question. So where I'm located is on purpose. It kind of goes back to American Skyport and Business Navigators, but I'm located exactly 45 minutes from Wright-Patt, which is in Dayton, Ohio. I'm located exactly an hour and a half from Indianapolis. I'm exactly an hour and a half from Cincinnati, Ohio. I am exactly an hour from Columbus, Ohio, and Columbus, Indiana. There's 72 different airports in Indiana, Ohio. There's 4,000 places you can land something. But my point is, out of that, there's 4 to 6 large airports. I am only between 45 minutes and an hour and a half for one of those 4 to 6 large airports. So Indiana's a great place to live. You can, when one airport closes the weather, you can jump on another one. So it's very mobile. You can reach 70% of the nation from here. It would be nice if some of those folks hop on the plane, spend $59 if that's their going rate, because it seems like it lowers. We get one of those cheaper flights and come out to American Heroes Equine Connection. Come.
Oh, that's awesome.
Come have fun.
Yeah. Is there lodging strategically placed around there?
So we have
the area.
That's the great question. So there are hotels local, and if folks are coming in, they can book on my webpage, and I can get them set up with the local hotels. We'll talk to them and get them set up. As far as that's on my roadmap, and I know we're going to talk a little about AI later, but my roadmap goes out, and if I were to receive funding or greater funding, I would love. I mean, that's my goal. That would be my dream, is to help build one of those ranches where veterans can stay for 4 to 6 days, book it out a year, let them bring their family and come enjoy ranching, come enjoy time with the horses, come enjoy time with their tribes. So that is absolutely my goal. I had the option to put tents out, and I said nope. I said us veterans have lived that life before. I'm not going to wish that upon them again. So let's scale to grow, and that's where we are today.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you ever heard of a thing called agritourismo, they do it very popular over here in Europe. I'm sure they do a lot of them in the States too, but they have the things where you basically go to the farm and they have local products that are actually farmed on the farm, and you get local food and local cheeses and milk and like all that stuff. And they set you up in accommodations, kind of like a B&B. So for one package price, that would be interesting.
That's awesome.
But just to
That's
get
awesome.
into your business story, can we talk about, like, I guess, why you chose the path you're on for these different businesses, and then can you speak to maybe the first 18 months of actually putting together board of directors, if it's a nonprofit, getting all that stuff set up, and because to me it seems daunting, and we're actually like turning the wheels and thinking about it, like, which way do we go from a business
Right.
a business opportunity perspective to put everything under an umbrella. But for any other veteran out there who's thinking about starting their business, going into business, of course, going to Syracuse University and checking out some of their information and data as well. But I'm really interested in your first year to 18 months of figuring out the business side of things.
So, like any good entrepreneur and businessman, I have to start with a quick disclaimer, right? You know the deal. Like, this is just my way. This may not be your way, and don't
Not a
hold me
lawyer.
liable for anything I share going forward. But actually, I started my business before I moved to Indiana. I started with a vision. I started it with a roadmap. I started my business plan. And I was teaching at, again, Command General Staff College. You know, one night I'm living on post. A bunch of colonels and lieutenant colonels came together. We're all like neighborlies. Our kids are playing. And I said, hey guys, they came out with this great thing called AI. What do you want to be when you grow up? And I turned to every one of them. What do you want to be? What do you want to be? Is there synergy for us? Can we think of something together? Is there a way we could kind of help advise or help coach each other? And some of them, believe it or not, we still talk. Someone call me, I call them. How are you doing? If nothing else, happy Father's Day if you're listening. And we try to reach out to each other. But it was awesome because it allowed us to think kind of together. So I will say, start your business with forming that coalition of the willing. Start your business with, I would call it, your trusted advisors. Like, and even if they don't want to be in your business, find that sounding board. And all of them should not agree with everything you're doing. Like, you need to have a counter position. You always need to have a counter position. Why here? Why there? Someone's who's poking a hole through your plan. Secondly, I'm a little unique because I was standing up a course at the Command General Staff College with data analytics, and they've never taught it before. I was working on building a course for data visualization, data analytics, business intelligence, etc. And when I retired, obviously my predecessors took it and implemented, and they added their stuff and implement the course. But the point is that I believe in leveraging data in many cases to remove heuristics and to help complement your strategy and a plan. So how do you do that is like the next question, right? So first, I would recommend to anyone, purchase a plan on ChatGPT or Copilot. Don't just type your stuff in there free willy, because if you do, it's open to everyone on the enterprise. But if you purchase a plan, in many cases, at least with Copilot through Microsoft, my stuff is protected. I have a little shield. I use it now. And I was coming up with my business ideas. What should I name it? And I ran through and I got like 100 ideas. And I said, how many of them are not done? And it came into like 5. And then I'm like, okay, that's not good enough. I want more options. So I keep changing that plan and micro changes until I felt comfortable with embodied my ideals and my values, something that I wanted to put my name on. And that is when American Skyport was born. So also leveraging data analytics, and I had to think of what is going to be my value proposition. And my value proposition, I believe, like I mentioned earlier, I've led, literally hundreds of operations, over thousands of miles in combat, in Europe, et cetera, et cetera. So I felt like I have a requisite skill set, and I wanted to kind of put that skill set into something that I wanted to form, which was called at first, it still is, American Skyport. I've worked with some other folks since then, and they asked me to be a part of their board. So I'm an executive director on AVOA, which stands for America Vertiport Owner and Operator Organization, where I like to bring veterans in, and my job is their executive director for veteran services and strategic partners. I like to bring vets in and help them one day kind of form their own business in this enterprise. Some people call them skyports, vertiports. And my goal with American Skyport, my goal over time would be grow 200 skyports and bring in veterans and make them either franchise owners or make them presidents or make them directors of my skyports. That's my goal. I want to hire veterans that want to fly. I want to hire veterans that want to be doctors, flight surgeons again. Because when they left, they felt like they couldn't do it again. Well, I want to give them the opportunity. You can still do it. You want to save lives in the Midwest? I'm here to help you do it. And that's when I came up with American Skyport. I've seen the governor twice, spoke with him. I have on American Skyport, Governor Braun. I share it with anyone who's willing to listen. And my website, americanskyport.com, is going through a little bit of transition. So if it's offline, I apologize. But if you find it, it should be back on. And you will hopefully see a little more about what American Skyport's about there.
So Luke, real quick,
yeah.
Tell me what is American Skyport?
So American Skyport's goal is essentially do three things. One, save lives across the Midwest. Two, make and create micro economies across the Midwest. And three, revolutionize and help change the transportation industry across the Midwest. So micro economies, why? Because I want to create hubs. And in these hubs, I want to give the ability so that these folks, these dying communities in the Midwest, and mark my words, I've seen the data analytics. There's a lot of dying communities in the Midwest. Farmers leave, people go to universities, they leave the Midwest, they do the brain drain, they go other places to cities, and they don't want to come back. I want to make the Midwest profitable again. I love the Midwest values. I think it embodies the American principles, and I would like to keep the Midwest alive from literally Ohio, of course, starting in Indiana, going all the way across to the border of California. And that's one route, and I have a whole nother route to go through Texas and other places.
Is this via like deliveries, or is it, or what exactly, how, I'm trying to envision what exactly, is it like drone technology, or is it like deliveries of medical supplies, or what am I thinking here?
So that's I think that's a great question. So have you ever heard of Anduril?
Anduril, no.
Have you heard of Joby or Archer?
Archer, yes.
So Archer is in the industry of eVTOLs, electric vertical takeoff and landing. And eVTOLs are expensive right now. And they're new technology, they're expensive, still being tested for short or long-term distances. What I'm looking at is starting with potentially a eVTOL and or a hybrid helicopter, electric on, electric off, combustion in the air. Why is that important? That's important because to turn it on quick and go in itself is valuable life-saving time. And by charging it and also using a hybrid system, you could go a lot further with it. So that's in the life-saving, that's in the taxi realm. What else I like to do is build mini ecosystems. So something we call there's something we call recreational eVTOLs. So I know Jetson, I talked to the founder, Thomas, in the past. And it's a big company. You check out their network and they're doing great. And what I like to do is offer these ecosystems to help sell and bring these smaller modular eVTOLs to the Midwestern folks. I mean, think of it. We have a lot of open areas to fly in. You know, if you have to do an emergency landing, it's in a pasture. I mean, it's pretty safe. And many of these recreational eVTOLs also have parachutes built into them. So there's like redundancy of safety. And I talked to eVTOL Insights, I talked to AAM Institute, AVOA, and I'm speaking at SDI. These are all different little microcosms or partnerships that I'm going to be speaking as a veteran who's trying to bring veterans to Skyport or vertiport industry. And we're starting now. And if you think, or anyone thinks, well, this is 10 years out, my point is this should have been 10 years ago. I mean,
Right.
so, but we're doing it now.
No, that it seems amazing. I mean, just the idea of it, right? Like it should have been 10 years ago. Why hasn't it started? And it sounds great. I would say if you need somebody to do some contracts for like government contracts, let me know. Because it sounds like something that could get, you can get your foot in the door with a government contract, being that you can really land anywhere.
Thumbs up.
Yeah. So that might be the next step, maybe like a side quest or something. But yeah, very cool. I had no idea about this. I'm going to put it on my radar and do some research on it too.
You said something about contracts. To be very frank with you, and me being an Army guy, I kind of say it very straight. Is that for many folks, SAM is easy. I tried SAM multiple times over the last 6 months, and I got to the point where they want to put your home address. I'm not willing to do that. But I would be willing to talk with you offline and absolutely have a further conversation, as I've been playing with SAM for about a year now, maybe a year and a half. So let's talk.
Yeah, absolutely. I've done a little bit of work with Sam and done cage codes and contracts and stuff. So it's I'm kind of in that realm. I've done that before, but no, but very cool, man. Skyport, yeah, absolutely. Skyport, awesome, man. The wave of the future, right?
That's right. Now, and I'll share something else. I even wrote a book on it, because many of my partners were a little bit upset about this, because they're like, Luke, you took your book and you published it. And I said, brother, you have to understand, I want to be successful. I want to help grow the Midwest. But if I can help grow America and I can bring veterans and let them do it, I'm going to give it to them. It's how they unlock the book is up to them. So I created a book on it. It's published on the I actually used AI to help me write it. That's why I don't have a hard copy of it, but it's published. It's on Amazon. Someone looks me up in Amazon. You see I have 2 books here. The second book is on harnessing AI for business success. And this is a guide for U.S. military veteran entrepreneurs. This book is publishable because I wrote it myself with other things, but yeah. So, so that's my heart. Even the business navigators, I want to hire veterans. Veterans bring so much to the landscape, from leadership to risk mitigation to forethought, foresight. And quite frankly, many folks go from college to the boardroom, not veterans. They go from either college to the battlefield, or from, home to the battlefield, then to college, and then to the boardroom. Well, my point is they have a lot more to offer. And what a little bit I find sometimes difficult is that you have veterans who've led more missions, who actually know what leadership is when halt, hungry, angry, lonely, and tired occurs on the battlefield. As leaders, you eat last, right? So they go through this whole, I want to say, sacrificial, process, humble alpha of their life to conduct whatever the missions are. And you're trying to get into the civilian world. You know what they say? Oh yeah, here's a manager job. Here's an entry level position. But if I was going from industry to industry, they say, oh, you want director or VP? I find that daunting. And I don't want veterans to feel that way. So I created Business Navigators, where I can help veterans become consultants, consult through us, leverage our contracts, and be part. Don't feel like you're not part of the team. We're going to give you trust. We're going to give you respect. We're not going to micromanage. We are going to check in, and we're going to coach you along the process. And we're going to do it. Most importantly, we're going to do it together.
Yeah, and I think that's something that John and I talk a lot about. Is it's the whole. You're in the service. You have a battle rhythm, right? You go. You got a mission. You got something going on. You have a rhythm going, and all of a sudden, you retire. You leave the military, and it just stops, and you're wondering what's next. It's like a ball rolling downhill. I got momentum, and all of a sudden I have nothing. What happens now? So yeah, it definitely resonates with me. Exactly what you said. But I did have
I do want to throw something in real quick.
Go ahead, John.
If I could. I'm starting to see, and hopefully this is going to be a trend moving forward. I just recently read an article, maybe it was a day or 2 ago, of 4 gentlemen from the tech industry that had been brought into the Army and
That's
I
right.
guess promoted straight into, I think they were lieutenant colonels or something like that. And we've seen that at different various points in the military, throughout the military, the Air Force, the Navy, like they bring in some experts. We do the same with doctors and veterinarians and things like that as well, because we need that experience to come to do the job. And it's a very professional job they need to do. And I'm hoping that that kind of interaction with industry allows us to then do the same in reverse, what you're talking about, where we can take somebody who's been a colonel or a CW4 or whatever for 20, 25 years and put them directly into these kind of C-suite positions, or even like really, really higher management, if that's what they want to do, of course. But I'm hoping that kind of slowly bridges the gap between the industry and the military, and kind of gives us that partnership ability to do that back and forth.
So I agree. I hope, I think that's a hope. It's an aspiration. I hope over time the absolute reciprocal occurs. I think that is what I find daunting. You go to Google Weeks, which I love Google Week, and I'm very appreciative of them doing that. But everything's entry level. Here's, someone says, hey, you have 20 years. Oh, we want one page resume. Over 20 years experience. Like, you know what I mean? Where are the executive recruiters for the military? I would love to meet one of them. You know what I mean? But real quickly, so I just want to answer your first question. So 18 months, how did I figure it out? In short, I leveraged AI. I created a path. I created a journey. I went into several classes. SBA offered like Boots to Business. I went through these courses. I listened to seasoned experts, and now I'm in the enacting of my plan stage, right? And you have to, again, this goes back to the military, you have to exercise resiliency. You have to exercise the whole agile they teach in PMP. You have to taper or manage what I call expectations. You may see $1 million or $1 billion idea. It doesn't mean the other people across tables see $1 billion idea. And it's up to you to help show that in a reasonable manner. And I think you could tell my passion comes through in everything I do. And sometimes that turns people off, but for me, I believe in our tribe. And what I'm doing, I don't look at it as I'm trying to do for me. I'm looking as I'm trying to do to take care of thousands of veterans when they leave service. So I think that's my calling. And then that's what I'm trying to do, to pull them into American Skyport, put them into Business Navigators, help them on their healing journey through American Heroes Equine Connection Incorporated. I mean, everything I do has a huge segment of what I can do for our tribe when they leave service.
Now, Luke, I know part of the show is the failures of the business process, right? And I wanted to know, I mean, being that you've started a few organizations, and now, Skyport, the Equine, American Heroes Equine Connection, Business Navigators, what type of roadblocks have you encountered when starting these organizations?
So I think it's a great question. And to be frank, there's a lot of roadblocks. And many are to a degree self-induced, like I picked my general location because I wanted the opportunity I saw the vision of where I can implement American Skyport and Business Navigators. I see where I can be, not just here, but anywhere across the US, even the world. Just because I see it doesn't mean everyone else sees it. A lot of folks see it if you're in California, a lot of folks see it if you're in Texas, but they're not seeing the vision from Indiana. So I am in a roadblock, I absolutely am. And to tell you how I get through it, and to be very frank, right now, it's about perseverance, networking, connections, and I'm not through it. Ryan and I talk, like I said, and we talk about how we should and will and must not only persevere, but fail forward.
Right.
So, and do I say I'm a failure because I'm failing every day? No, I don't think of that at all. Because all I need is one success. All I need is one success that could underwrite all my failures. And to be frank, with American Skyport, I'm on the phone with folks from Sweden. I'm on the phone with folks from the UK. I'm on the phone with folks all around the world who see American Skyport value. And what I'm trying to do is get folks from America to see American Skyport value. Hopefully some VCs, venture capitalists, or some other folks who want to go through my 50-page business plan after they sign a non-disclosure, hopefully they want to go through it. And I've been flying across the U.S. trying to be the best advocate, as I think CEOs and founders do. I want to say something else.
Sure.
That I think is part of the journey that wasn't mentioned. So really, what's the difference between a CEO and a founder, right? A founder, you wear many of the hats, sometimes all the hats. A CEO, now you're teaching and coaching your staff to wear those hats. And at the end of the day, I'm still a founder. Like, I'm still wearing many of the hats. So
Luke, you had mentioned that you're on the phone with folks from Sweden, you're on the phone with folks from other countries. You want to get America to see the value of Skyport. And I'm wondering, like, what is holding folks back from that vision in your mind?
So I met with one person from I don't want to say the organization. He's a vet.
No, you don't have to.
And he's part of helping vets. So I think he's doing, by the way, so awesome. I'm very appreciative of anyone who's trying to do that. But what I will say is, and this is hard thought, he's like, Luke, that seems very capital intensive. Well, I think I have to be put in the room with the right VCs, the right venture capitalists, right, folks who can see the value that, hey, it is capital intensive upfront.
Yeah.
But the return on revenue and the business proposition isn't. It's quicker than you would imagine. And I don't want to share my data analytics on my ROI on an open net with everyone. But likewise, you want to sign the NDA and go in contracting with me, I would love nothing more than share it with you. But to be very frank, it's fast, it's quick, and there's a lot of money to be had. I have a team right now working on applications. I have teams working on my, obviously, continuously everything from marketing to my website development. We have our first intern, which I'm very incredibly appreciative of, which, by the way, totally came to me through a military connection of a friend I worked with in the past. And that speaks to a novel's about, do people believe in you? For them to put their name on the line and help me get a intern. That's a pretty big deal, in my opinion.
Yeah.
No,
it's great, Luke, because the intent wasn't to get you to disclose anything. It was just, it is, I see value in something like this. And I was wondering if maybe there's something specific that are holding folks back. But it seems like just the capital, right? You just need to be in the right room with the right people who are willing to see, or who will see the same vision that you see, I think.
I personally think if I could get something in the neighborhood between $5 and $8 million, I can have a return on investment probably within 3 years plus more. It's like significant amount.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get a loan. I don't put my house up on market. Why would I want to do that with 23 years, in 40 different countries and many years in combat? Why would I want to, listen, it's not that I don't believe and bet on myself. I did, and I am. I put myself in a state I'm not from. And I'm working, my ass off to try to make something happen here. So I am invested, but it's also from the perspective of, there's an organization out there. I've talked to them twice in the last year. They're to help you do seed funding. And they said, first, I didn't have enough followers. Forget my mission. They're like, you have a great mission. You just don't have enough followers. Well, I'm hoping maybe we get a bunch of veterans on Strategy Unlocked and on American Skyport Business Navigators. Maybe I could get some of those followers. And if I could get those followers, maybe I can get some seed funding. Now I could get seed funding. Maybe I could be on my way for turning the key in the American Skyport ignition.
Is it followers like on Instagram, or like what were they looking at?
Yeah, all social media followers, folks where I can network my seed funding rounds to. So hopefully throw $5, $10, $100, $1,000, maybe someone can put $1 million in. But the point is, so I can get it out there and I could get that seed funding. So it's
there's a lot of weight put into that. The follower thing, you know, and
Yeah.
There is a lot. I've gotten some messages on Instagram about some stuff about increasing my followership, because I do run a business, a side, kind of like a little side hustle. I turned into a business. And it's like, hey, yeah, we can increase your viewership so you can get more sales. I'm like, well, I'd like to do it organically, right? I don't want to have to pay for all these followers, right? It's a little, seems a little off to me.
So I think organically is good. Again, to go back, I kind of coach Ryan. Ryan coaches me, and we talk about, like, should we pay? Should we not pay? And at the end of the day, we don't want to dilute our brand. We don't want to dilute the veteran community.
Right.
And we believe in what we're doing. So it's like time, right? Rise over run. They always talk about time, value, money. And I am hoping that I could, over sooner than later, I can get my followership kind of increased. I will say something, in the military, especially being a leader, I was never good at social media. I was never involved in social media. In fact, I only started a LinkedIn account in 2011 because the military was kicking a lot of people out. I'm like, oh my goodness. I didn't know if I was going to be one or not. And obviously I wasn't, thank God. And my heart goes out to the folks who we lost so many great people, at that time. But what I will say is I said, let me start LinkedIn because I want to have the ability that I can maybe find footing. And I think it was just came out at that time. And I just wanted to kind of start a footing, let alone when I retired, I didn't realize I had so many connections. And over the last year, I've just grown it with Ryan. Ryan and I have been kind of pushing each other. We see who hit 10,000 first. He hit 10,000 before me. Thank you, Ryan. And I'm at like 9,600 or something. But the point is that it's through that building that team of people helping each other on the journey is so awesome. So I'm not stuck in American Skyport's not happening. I'm stuck in how I can see the value that it will provide. I'm stuck in the positive, not in the negative. I learned that in the military is that you get blown up, you have to dust yourself off. You have to establish 360-degree security. You have to do your reports, and you have to save those who are in need, and then you have to push on with the next mission, right? So the same thing with American Skyport Business Navigators. Yes, we take our blows, but I have to dust off, and I got to push on for our mission, and that's just where I am right now. And I leverage AI in everything I do, and I have a team of people and other things that we kind of help each other organically and inorganically. And there's so many great people out there doing it. And this kind of goes to Kevin Schmiegel. I totally ruined his last name, but he's the founder of what's it called? Zero Mills. And let me tell you, I listened to his 3 hours. No, it was 5.5 hours on DC. They just did a video last Friday, and I watched the whole thing because that's kind of the veteran I am. I'm all in, and I watched it. I took parts. I started saying to all my tribe, "Hey, go to hour 3, go to hour 4. Hey, read, go to 30 minutes." And I share it with them. And there's so many nuggets of wisdom that are in that. And I think that's what we have to do with veterans is we have to. We have to listen. We have to, as veterans, we have to listen. And how do we help veterans? We try to give them, something worthy to listen to. And I appreciate you guys again, just kind of making that happen here.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I actually want to see if we can shift gears. I'm writing down so many notes and trying to keep my pen moving as fast as possible as you're talking because there's too many things to write down. But I wanted to shift gears into, because I know a few folks in the audience have messaged and asked and talked about the nonprofit side of things, how that works, and maybe your best practices, top 3 things to watch out for when establishing a nonprofit. And maybe also, I throw like 5 questions at once, maybe also how to determine what type of nonprofit you want to actually establish based on whatever you're trying to do.
So I'm going to give you the best answer I can, but understand that I made mistakes on the way too, and I'm still making them. So I love the name of my nonprofit, American Heroes Equine Connection Incorporated. It's too long. AHEC was taken up because that's a flooring store. So I couldn't even use the acronym. I mean, some of the media will have AHEC Inc. or something, and it's abbreviated version because it was too long to even get in social media. So first I'd recommend sit down, maybe a computer screen, maybe ChatGPT open, and put in your passions, put in what it is you want to do, and then just help it help you. And then when you're done with all of this, anything you're doing ChatGPT, anything you're doing with the OpenAI or any of that, first and foremost, make sure that someone else isn't doing it. Because I'd hate for you to waste your time, because you can get to a point where you try to incorporate and you can find out someone else already incorporated, and you got to start all over. So make sure you're asking the right questions, right prompts. That is so important to anything we do when it comes to AI. It's the right questions, right prompts. So that's just kind of help them on the ideation phase. The second thing is, one of the mistakes I made, and again, I love my nonprofit because of our mission and what we're doing. I mean, as a veteran myself, I know that I'm healing on a constant journey of being healed. But at the end of the day, I didn't think of it from a national standpoint. And after I met so many great friends in the area, the 23rd Veteran, great nonprofit, by the way. They help you go out for a week and build your team, and then you come back and then you work out, and then you spend about, I don't know, something like 15 to 30 minutes together after your workout, and then they help you just become one with yourself. It's an awesome nonprofit. I'm not doing them justice. Then there's another one called Hives for Heroes, another great guy who has really, on a national scale, has helped bring veterans together. And it's probably one of the largest. There's a name for beekeeping, so forgive me for not knowing or saying it. I think it's called apiary, largest one in like the world, right? So they're bringing vets together and helping through healing through Hives for Heroes, also helping residual income. And those are like really good examples of national nonprofits. IVMF, Institute of Veteran Military Families, great example of a nonprofit. American Heroes Equine Incorporated, not a great example of the best nonprofit out there. It's just not, because even though my vision's big, you have to do it here. And I try to combat that. If you make it here and you're a veteran and you come, I give them special bags that they have. They could do gardening on their own and things like that. So in case they don't have a big yard, do gardening, or they can come back and garden at my location. Again, that's a local. Maybe one day I could break it up and open it up and maybe do Tai Chi online or something. But that's how you hit your national audience, is either you get a lot of money where you can fly people in, make it national. I'm not there. Or you can do something where you can help make it, kind of national. There's so many other great nonprofits. There was one that were doing painting by the colors, where you can paint. I think it's Institute of, I can't remember the exact name, so please forgive me. But they help you paint by the colors. Like, that was amazing. And I was transitioning, I was on my journey, and we were living in the camper, traveling, between whatever state and state. And my kids were able to color by the colors with me. Great example of a well thought out nonprofit. Mine is not like that, which it was. So that's probably my first mistake. And I'm not saying that I couldn't change, or I can't put some agility or exercise that in the nonprofit. But I do recommend, if you're a veteran, you want to start a nonprofit, think through that. Think of what could be your national plan and what could be your local plan. That is like my biggest recommendation. And I hope that gave you enough examples of my own fault. Also, there's enough platforms online these days that if you want to do a national ruck march, you want to do a national walkathon, you want to do a national sprint, there's organizations doing it. The 23rd Veterans doing it. There's a lot of other nonprofits doing it. And I do think that's a way you could probably bring some funding in a way to kind of make it a little more national. Luckily, I had mentors in the space, and they mentored me and shared those ideas with me. I haven't executed them yet, those concepts. But those are things that you could put in your plan. Second thing I recommend is you create a roadmap in everything you do. Create, what is my values? What is my mission statement? What is my short-term, medium, and long-term goal? And then you create what you want to say is your story. Like, if you were going to be the customer of this nonprofit, is it what you want to receive? And if the answer is no, then start again. And if it's yes, then you're on the right track, but it doesn't mean you're done. Now go figure out who's going to be on your board. Now you have to remember your board has to be trusted people. People who, first of all, not only want to be there, but want to be involved. And because they believe in it, they want to be involved. And it could be nothing, like it could be from marketing, it could be to advocacy, it could be to, hey, I'm going to help you in your bank account statements, and then, hey, we're coming up on the calendar and we have 4 board meetings planned for the year. Come to each board meeting. We're very true to our board meeting schedule. That's something you do have to be very cognizant of. Our board meeting lasts for 1 hour. We record it, we take notes, and we're very methodical. And we try to dot the I's, cross the T's on our procedures. The other thing is, after you figured all that out, you need to think of, well, what is my outreach going to be? So, I'm leveraging a platform. I don't know if you two are. It's called Metricool. Metricool is a online platform where I could do all my social marketing in. I give them a plan out a year. And I could pop everything in there, and I leverage Metricool. You can also do, I think Canva just stood up one. You can use Canva. If you already have a Canva account, it's like free. I don't know if it's as good. I haven't used it yet. I'm gonna let my Metricools when I get to my last quarter and I make my decision. Then maybe I'll venture on that platform. I want to, you have to experiment.
Yeah.
So you create that plan, you share the plan, you bring in trusted agents to help they believe in it. I'm not done on my board. I need more people on my board of directors. I need more people on my committees. Right now, I'm currently looking for doctors or nurses that want to be a part of my plan. And if you're in the area of the realm of psychology, and you specialize in PTSD, I would love to have you on my board. So if you're listening, and if you're a veteran, that's even better. Like, I want veterans on my board, because then I can stand by. It's by veterans for veterans. It doesn't have to be just doctors, nurses. If people have interest, then just reach out to me. Now, how do you form a 501c3? So I use something called a registered agent personally. And there's many out there, and many of them are very expensive. I personally use, I think it's called Northwestern, and I'll have to get that back, maybe that exact answer back to you after this, unless you can check it out on your computer. But at the end of the day, it's a very affordable registered agent process for me. And then I talk to my attorneys, I talk to my accountant. You have to file about certain dates. You have to file your nonprofit to make sure it's a good status. Even if you're only collecting $1,000 or below and then when you do your nonprofit, you can say, is my nonprofit going to be 15,000 or below, or 15,001 and above? Like, those are 2 different categories. I said, well, mine's probably going to be 15,000 and below. So I formed what they call when I formed it, my nonprofit, I did what they call the easy version. This is a lot smaller. You could do the longer version, but I knew that a lot of the money I put into my nonprofit, I put out of my own capital. And I figured, well, that's 15 blows is adequate for me. So if someone's starting and they already have a foundation, or they already have a mechanism they need to, maybe they made a lot of money, they want to transfer something over, well, then go the long form. And that's another mechanism to do. I don't look at nonprofits as come here and do a write-off. I look at nonprofits as, hey, come here and heal. So I think there's a lot of misconceptions. People are like, whoa, people hide money in nonprofit. I'm not doing that. What I'm trying to do in my nonprofit is take care of veterans and first responders. I did a research around me. I was out when I went through my pulmonary embolism and the pneumonia period where I couldn't breathe. I called a lot of equine centers and they said they help veterans. Come to find out, not a single one of them did. So I was upset. Like, I was already physically hurt. So now it's just more and more upsetting. So it did what I call the trifecta. It created a charge in me. And that charge was, I have to do this. Like, it's now a physical manifestation. If I don't do this, like, I feel like it's going to be an impediment to my own healing journey. And how am I going to amplify and help bring the tribe together in the state? So I created it. And if someone has that really calling, that tough calling, let them do it. Also, if they have questions, have them reach out to me, please. I'm not saying I know all the answers, but I could love to bring them in with all these other founders of these nonprofits.
Absolutely.
You know, and we can have this conversation, you know, as I remember, I had one of my warrant officers say to me once, a closed mouth does not get fed. So if they have questions, come and ask.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it. And, you know, I'm wondering, as far as getting the marketing piece out, I've been to rodeos, you know, in different areas, right? Where they have like the horse shows before they have the rodeos and all that. Maybe that could be something where you set up something with the founders or whoever's running the rodeo. Like, hey, look, we have Luke here from the American Heroes Equine Connection, you know, sponsoring or, you know, just featured in a rodeo. I have to believe that there's some veterans in the crowd when it comes to that could potentially use that. And I'm looking at it at a local level, right? Because being that it's horses, it's a little hard to go nationally with that unless you are
Not
willing to
true,
fly folks
actually.
out.
Actually, a lot of folks in the horse community travel nationally. They travel nationally all the time, believe it or not.
Okay.
But what I'm going to tell you my biggest impediment on my journey, and this is what my lack of foresight. My fence that I put in for my nonprofit cost me around $30,000. I had to put a fence in. That's what it cost me. Again, probably not smartest move, but I did it. And what I should have done is maybe bought a horse trailer. I didn't. And I need one desperately. And I put on my website $40,000 for a horse trailer. Listen, I'll buy a used one for 10. Hell, if someone give me one that's broken, but I can put a couple thousand to fix it, I'll take that one.
Yeah.
I just need help getting it here. But at the end of the day, I need what my biggest impediment right now is a horse trailer, because there's so many beautiful national parks across Indiana, Ohio, the Midwest. I would love nothing more to set a date a month out and go meet a bunch of veterans somewhere else. You know what I mean? I would love nothing more than to do that. It's just my biggest impediment was not funding appropriately my horse trailer. I have received from the Minutia Foundation $2,000, and I'm incredibly grateful. Baumgart's has donated a pallet of grain and pebbles for the horse, you know, when they step on, because my lungs are destroyed from the pulmonary embolism. I take shots and breathing stuff. So I have to use these special stuff to clean out their, you know, the small little barn they live in. I have to, and it's just so I don't breathe all the stuff. So they donated that. But my point is that I need to find a way to get something close to $8,000 or $9,000 more dollars donated, and then I could buy the horse trailer, and then I would be glad to meet you guys wherever you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that'd be awesome. I mean, you put something in my head now, and I like going around to different spots and then meeting folks. Like I went to the Naval Academy just this past week, met some folks out there, took photos, you know, and all that. Got to shake hands, and I would love to go out and meet folks from different veteran nonprofits to see what they're doing, to promote their nonprofit, you know, and on the show, to let more folks know that these things are available, you know. And here's me, just one guy using the services. Anybody can come out here and use it, right? So I mean, that's just a little bug in my head that I'm looking at doing, and just going around nationwide and just traveling around. But I would love to go and check out the horses as well. You know, you don't necessarily have to come to San Diego unless you don't want to, but you know, unless you want to. But I would love to do something like that.
So you're welcome. First of all, you're welcome. And I've flown between Indiana and San Diego for eVTOL stuff for American Skyport, and also down to San Fran. But you're welcome to come. And to be very frank, you know, I have a camper you could stay in it. It's a really nice big one. So you're set. If you don't believe me, ask the founder of the Veteran Lifestyle magazine. He showed up and stayed in it.
Hey, you know, I might just take you up on that, and I might bring a couple other veterans with me just to kind of get involved. Awesome. Well, shoot, man, all great info, dude. Because like John mentioned, we were playing with the idea of nonprofits, but it seems like such a heavy lift, and for the most part it is, right? I mean, unless you know who to talk to, and what, just get resources from different places. But a big thing is, like you mentioned, identifying the desire, right? Like, does it fit you? I don't want to do something that doesn't fit me.
Yep.
I don't, it has to be something that I'm going to dedicate my time and effort. I think that you have found those things. And I think that John and I have a mutual of desire for assisting, really all of us, for assisting veterans in their pursuit of finding their next mission or the next purpose after the military. So yeah, I took a whole bunch of notes down, man. Great information, and I'm sure we're going to be chopping this video up and making a bunch of shorts on it, because just diamonds here. You're just spitting out diamonds here. Awesome.
I love it. Hey, it's just been an honor to be here. I mean, the fact that you just let me share my journey, you let me share my path. Again, going back to that video, that show I watched, they brought in so many great affluent and speakers who just really such amazing to listen to. And one of them talked about, as a veteran, when you start out and you're in a business, and when you start out in this business, you're kind of on the same boat. And when you're on this boat, and I believe the phrase, I think JFK once said, is when the tide rises, all boats go with it. But now envision, take to the next level. The tide's rising, your boat is rising, but now you have these veterans who have been coached, they've been mentored, and they want to go ahead and break out. Well, now you have other boats. And sometimes it's a point of conflict in veterans. Like, hey, I've helped so-and-so. Now they're building. Maybe they're doing their own podcast. Don't be upset about it, folks. Be happy about it. That means your mentorship is working. That means what you've done to them is working. So now we have to have a perspective of not just a boat, have a perspective of an armada of boats. So let the veteran community be an armada where we can bring the boats and the vessels together on our journey and help and assist veterans as the tide rises.
Absolutely. And we got a comment here from Devin Seals, combat engineer, here medically retired, and I enjoyed working with my wife's horse when I first got back from my second deployment from Afghanistan. Yeah, we've been covering that the whole time, man. It seems like the way to go, really. And we got one from Navy Cop here, collaboration versus contention. Yeah, exactly. Working together.
That's right.
Working together.
That's right. Well, gentlemen, it's been an honor to be here.
No, absolutely. Go ahead.
It's been an honor to be here. I watch you guys all the time. You guys are just amazing. And this was like a highlight, and the next highlight, because it is Father's Day, I'm going to spend time with my kids, but this was a highlight. So thank you so much. I had a very interesting week, and you guys made it better. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on,
really
Luke.
Appreciate it.
We really appreciate you coming on, man.
I look forward to seeing you guys.
Yeah. Thank you for taking time.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah, dude, that was a wealth of information, dude. It really was.
Yeah.
I wrote down, I mean, we always write down a bunch of notes, but I wrote down a whole lot, especially his top 4 things on creating a nonprofit, because we've talked about it. You and I have talked about it briefly about starting something. There are some hurdles here and there, but we can always work something out. Not a big deal. And the same thing with like a business, right?
Yeah.
When you're starting a business, there's going to be hurdles. You got to find something that you love or that you enjoy doing. If you don't enjoy doing it, you're not going to put your passion and your purpose into it, right? How many businesses have I had that are now failures in the past? Now are failures because I just fell out of love with those things, right? Over time, it was a good run for a few months. I got excited about it, but it wasn't in my heart. So I just kind of let it die out, and on to the next thing, And then, I have the thing like Undercover Clip. I keep that going over so many years now. And, now the nonprofit. So we just got to iron a couple things out. I'm curious, but in our hearts, I think supporting the veteran community and getting the word out about things that can help fellow veterans is what we want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's really time that Luke came on today, and I'm glad he got to share everything that he shared with us, and also sharing his organizations and what he's doing. But I just feel like this is what I really enjoyed doing, the podcast, talking to veterans, talking to folks,
Yes.
getting information out to veterans. I don't want to turn it into a business. I would think maybe a nonprofit might be something, but it just depends on what it is. But I think the big overarching thing for me is like, how do we take this and get it into a better place, a better position to be able to help more and more veterans expand the concentric circles. That's my main thing with all of this, and that's what I'm trying to just like work through that. And that's texting with you and talking with ChatGPT and talking with other veterans who have businesses, and because I don't want to turn it into what I don't want to do is I don't want to create a job for myself. This right now doesn't feel like a job. It feels like pure enjoyment. And that's the way I like to keep it. And I don't want to turn it into like paperwork and filling out forms and doing all that stuff. But
I know exactly what you mean.
That's what we look at.
I know exactly what you mean, dude. When I told you I was doing art for a while, right? So I like doing art, like on my own time. I got a lot of art pieces. I go to museums. I tour with my art and stuff like that. I show it at exhibitions, veteran exhibits. And then once I started doing commissions, and once I started putting it out there, like, hey, I will, do your commission of whatever photo you want or whatever you want. It started feeling like a job. And I don't want to say I hated it, but it didn't feel the same. I fell out of love with it. And then for a while there, my love of art and drawing and, ink and all that went away. And I stopped doing it for so many months because I just fell out of love with it. Now I started doing it again. I'm just not going to do commissions anymore because I know I failed at that, right? At least for me, I did well. I just, I knew where my limitations were as far as what I really want to do. And I'm not going to do that again. I'll do it for myself because it did start feeling like a job. Like I have to finish this. I have a deadline. I got to do it. I told this person, I'll have it done by next week. It's too much in the background. So I didn't like it. But yeah, man, it's a great show. A lot of good nuggets taken out of there. I'm sure we can chop this thing up into many, many shorts. Let me see here. I want to give a shout out and thank you to Navy Cop MA1 for always being with us on the show. He's on here every week. So awesome dude. Thanks for being here. And you can catch us on the Military Retirement Podcast on YouTube, the Green Logbook on YouTube, the Military Retirement Group, which I just got like 9 more requests to join. So we're right at about 2,700. And I'll probably put it up there. Luke, if you're still listening, the Military Retirement Group on Facebook is our own group of military retirees and veterans. And we'll put a link out there to your stuff, to the show, and let them know, hey, look, these things are available to veterans if you're headed out to Indiana or anything like that. So we're right under 2,000. Yeah, highly curated group. You don't know the amount of people I kick off of that requesting access to this thing, man. I got like Nigerian princes requesting access. So
I mean, if they want to bring some money in.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they served in the military, I guess, in the American military. Right. But yeah, highly curated group. We don't just let anybody in. You have to have served. And you have to put your military occupational specialty in. And I actually like look through people's profiles too, just to make sure that they're not just kind of like a fake profile. So if not, we would have had like 10,000 people who were right under 2,700 folks in the Military Retirement Group. Where else can you find us? On Instagram, on Facebook. And if you're curious and you want to be a member or a guest on the show, you can email us at info@militaryretirementpodcast.com. And I think that would be it. Funding is funding. we're getting comments here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it, John. I mean, we had a great show. Our guest Luke Medvey, you can find all his where is it? Do we have a link to him on maybe LinkedIn?
Yeah, I can throw it in the chat real quick. Give me 2 seconds.
Yeah. If you want to connect with
Throw it in the
Luke,
chat.
got questions about nonprofits, about what he's doing with Skyport, American Heroes Equine Connection over in Indiana, and Business Navigators, you can find Luke. Yeah, here we go. John's going to put it up on.
There you go.
There you go.
Boom. It's in the
Awesome.
chat. It's on the bottom. Email's up there
Yep.
as well.
Hey, well, thanks for being with us. If you're still with us, we really appreciate you listening. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, and to the Army, happy 250th birthday.
Go on.
Marine Corps, we're coming in November, so don't worry.
Right.
I think that the Navy's in October. I
With the
think
best party.
October. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right, John. With that, thank you all for listening. Out here.
Out here.